Whipseey and the Lost Atlas. Finally, a downloadable Switch game that isn't total trash. Okay, it's also on Steam and other platforms, but whatever, I'll take it. Released in August of 2019, Whipseey and the Lost Atlas places you in the role of Alex, a young boy who was sucked into a magic book and turned into a little pink wiggly-tough looking thing named Whipseey, and must navigate through 5 worlds to free himself from this magical place and reclaim his humanity, or something. It's not much of a story, but it's better than nothing, I suppose. Whipseey's main mean of attack is a whip that you could snap to the left or right, much like an old school Castlevania game. And you could even use the whip to latch onto hooks and swing across pits, which is rather nice. And if you jump in the air and press the jump button again, you can twirl the whip over your head like a propeller, which slows your descent, useful for those tricky platforming bits. You could also bop on enemies to stun them momentarily, much like those cutesy platformer things back in the day, all the while collecting gems from your defeated foes, 100 of which will net you an extra life, and you even have the Mega Man 1 style spikes that kill you whether you're flashing or not. Brilliant. Well, at least Whipseey's a semi-competent swimmer, though not quite sturdy on the slopes. Control is fairly basic in Whipseey and the Lost Atlas. The Y button whips and the B button jumps, and that's it. And for a simple and somewhat straightforward button scheme, it works well enough. It's responsive, easy to understand, and works with either the Joy-Cons or the Pro Controllers, both of which function well enough with this game. You have a map screen where you can play through the game's 5 levels and even revisit the levels you've cleared, though there's really no reason to do so beyond just for the lulz. On a whole, this is a generally fine little platform game whose only real downside is the rather short length. It'll take you about an hour, at most, to clear the game, and even that's probably being a little generous. Whipseey's not a total walk in the park, however. There's a couple trouble spots that require some competency in using your skills to the fullest, as well as a couple tricky bits of platforming here and there. And the boss fights are nothing to sneeze at either, but after a few attempts, the challenge is eventually conquered, and the game is complete. As something of a convenience, the game provides 3 save slots so you could save your progress, which is, some would argue, would be overkill, but is otherwise much appreciated. Visually, Whipseey's not bad. You have that 8-bit style with plenty of extra colors splashed on that permeate on a lot of these old retro throwback style 8-bit looking games. The various characters have a charming, cutesy, cartoonish style to them that's endearing, and the levels you explore are clean looking and vary to a degree. One caveat that might irk some people is the frame rate, which tops at 30 frames per second as opposed to the 60 everyone likes, or whatever the current standard is that everyone likes, I don't know. This doesn't really bother me personally, but some people are sticklers for this sort of thing. Frame rate whores, I guess, would be a proper term for it, I don't know. And this might be a turnoff to poor Whipseey as a result, but among other things. But other than that, it's a charming looking game, it's colorful, it's bright, it's got some charm to it, so really no complaints other than the frame rate for some people. Sound-wise, it's also fairly good. Surprisingly, the music is not chip-based, but rather actual instrumentals, fairly low-key yet bubbly and happy tunes that fit the wonderfully charmful world of Whipseey and the Lost Atlas. Sound effects are adequate, nothing really special, but most fit the actions associated, whether it be a whip crack or a flame burst or whatever the case. It's alright for the most part. Overall, Whipseey and the Lost Atlas is a fun little platform game with a cute art style, soothing tunes, and solid gameplay. Its rather short length might be a turnoff for some folks, and difficult to justify the usual $5 to $6 asking price, but during the short time it lasted, I had a ball, and that's all that really matters. If you want a quick little platformer, give Whipseey and the Lost Atlas a shot. It's good fun, and if you get it on sale, that's even better.